Hey there, everybody. So, we've had quite a few questions coming in from people who have asked questions about scores and what the numbers mean, what the box system means, okay, and why scores may rise or fall based on competitions that they're attending. So, I'm going to do my best to just give you a really quick rundown of the judging system, of how it works, okay, and to explain why you may see your score rise or fall throughout the course of competition. All right, so over here we have our general effect sheet for the A class. All right, in every caption you're getting two different numbers. Your first number is your repertoire, which is what your kids are doing. Your second number, performance effect, is how your kids are doing it. So the judge has 100 points to give, and those points are representative of these boxes. Okay, so let's say, for instance, you get a 70. The 70 puts you in the middle of box 4. So you'd flip the sheet over, and we would go to box 4. And 70 puts you in most of the time, they're representing this level of skill. All right, so you can read the sheet, you can analyze exactly what the judge feels that you are doing most of the time. If you score within the 60s, you are at the bottom end of box 4, which means that you are sometimes demonstrating these skills. Pushing up into the 80s means that most, if not all of the time, you're representing these skills, and you're sometimes pushing up into box 5, which is the 90 to 100 range. So, how is it possible for a score to go down from one weekend to the next? Okay, and this is something that's very frustrating, and I fully understand. I've been in this boat myself. A judge has three responsibilities. The first responsibility of the judge is to analyze the individual program and give it a numerical ranking within these boxes. So they look at the back of the sheet, they say, this is the skill set that the performers are doing, that the show is representing, and it is sometimes, most of the time, or all of the time, representing this level of skills, okay? If we're down into the 50s, 40s, and 30s, they are in the box 3 category, and this is the skill set that they're being analyzed. So it's their responsibility to get you into the box that you currently represent. All right. The next responsibility that the judge has is to rank the current performers of the day within the classification that they are currently in, competing against each other. So get the right groups in the right order. Okay. Now, this is where numbers can fluctuate. Okay. Because depending on who you're currently competing against at that specific contest, your number may rise or fall to fall within the competitive element and the contest dynamic of that individual competition. All right. Their third responsibility is to not give groups a tie. All right. So this is why at regionals, we will see groups in the preliminary round maybe go from a 73 to a 79 between prelims and finals. That doesn't necessarily mean that their show has gotten 6, 7, 8 points better. Okay. And also on the flip side of that, it's why we see groups go from a 67 to a 63. It does not mean that their show has gotten 5 points worse between prelims and finals. Okay. It's because within those 20 units, the judge has to make sure that they don't give anybody a tie. All right. So it's their responsibility to get the groups within the boxes. All right. And then once they get their groups in the correct boxes, they decide if they are sometimes, most of the time, or all of the time representing the skills within the box. And then once they've made that decision, they have to give the groups a ranking. All right, so if you're at a competition with 20 other units, like the regional, if you've made finals at the regional, you're competing against 20 other A-class color guards, there are a much wider range of numbers that the judges have to open their numbers to make sure that they don't have ties occur. All right. Ties can occur overall, but within the individual judge, it's their responsibility to make sure that they don't give anybody a tie. All right. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight, all right, as to why your numbers can rise or fall. The sheet itself, the system itself, is not a system of concrete information. All right, it's not a system of where you're going to be analyzed and your exact show is worth an exact number. Okay, your show of how it's being performed that day is worth a range of numbers, and then it is worth the range of numbers being classified with other units that you're competing against. So if you have a large number of people that you're competing against, the range is much bigger. If you're at a show with maybe one or two other people in your class, the number range is much smaller. Okay, so a lot of times if you're at a show with fewer units, it's possible to see your score reduce because you don't have necessarily the number of units. The judge had to make the call, all right, of where your competitive range is, between sometimes, most of the time, or all the time. So I hope that that's a little bit more of a clarification for people. As you go into the back half of the season, I would really encourage you to open up the WGI rulebook. All right, it is found in Competition Suite on the NTCA website. And really read the back of the sheets. Okay, so as you start to analyze your programs, you can go through these skill sets. Take the score that you've most recently been given. Let's say we've gotten a 67 last weekend, and you find yourself here at the bottom of box 4. You read down through all of the criteria that the judges feel that you are, and then you go through and you analyze your show as to how you can improve on things. How do we get up into the most of the time we are demonstrating these things, or all of the time we are demonstrating these things? So this is where you take a critical eye and you start to make adjustments to choreography, adjustments to staging. You ask yourself if maybe a moment can be developed a little bit more clear. Is my focus being led to the correct area on the floor? Are there performers demonstrating these skills to a high level, or are they just sometimes demonstrating these skills? All right, so the system, the sheets are all designed to be very analytical of multiple facets of a program. Body, equipment, the blend of both, the aesthetic designs of your program, okay, the functionality of the design of your program. Are we looking where we're supposed to be looking? Is the focus taking us to where it's supposed to be taking us? So this is the time of the season where it's time to do a deep dive and really get into the sheet and start to ask yourself the hard questions of what needs to be done in order for us to get up into upper box 4 and into box 5, which is the goal for everybody to get by the end of the season. So again, wishing everybody the very best of luck. I really hope that this video has been helpful to give people a little bit more insight as to number management from a judging perspective, and is able to help people to push and get to the end of the season. So looking forward to seeing everybody's programs, and I will see y'all soon.